Hey, good evening, everybody. Officially welcome. It is Wild Hour webinar time, and it's nice to be back. Took a little bit of a week off from a lot of the social stuff, getting stuck into some really exciting things, but you're going to find out about that in due course. Maria, hey, how's it going? Hey, Tracy. So, as always, just while everybody is still joining up, what we're going to do is the chat function will stay open all the time, and Q&A I'll pop in and out as we go through this little exercise. Just while we're still waiting for everybody to join up. Hey, Linda, Marie, hey, from Miami. Dutri Mandeep, hello. So I'm very glad you guys are sitting in 45 Celsius heat. It's freezing in Joburg. And as it would happen, just a little random hole is in South Africa, it was announced on when was it? Sunday, that we won't be able to purchase alcohol for the foreseeable future because of this whole lockdown thing, right? But everybody lost their minds. But myself and a group of people, we're doing a 30-day kind of clean eating, not drinking, and exercise thing. So it works out well. It works out well. So no red wine tonight, unfortunately, but I did have some tea earlier on. Okay, so let's get into this. At the end of this, I'll tell you guys just a little bit about what kind of content and some changes coming up to the content and the stuff we're producing. There's some exciting stuff on the go. But what we're going to discuss tonight is seeing wildlife images. Now, it's a difficult thing because all too often we'll be in the field, right? Linda, you have the wine for me, yes. All too often we'll be in the field and we'll be on a safari vehicle and there's a sighting playing out. Now, people often get so caught up in whether it's the romance of the moment or the gravity of the moment. It's such a big thing that they just get behind their camera and they start shooting. That often I'll ask someone, okay, listen, John, what are you photographing? And he's like, no, the lion over there. Okay, but what about the lion? What are you seeing? What is it that triggered you to pick up your camera wanting to get the shot? It might seem like a bit of a vague thing, but it is very important. It's very important because if you can see the images before you make them in the first stage, that can help you. And you'll know how to best use the technical variables of your photography to make it happen. So there's seeing images in the field. I think we're going to break this down into three things. There's seeing images in the field, sitting down, looking at something that's happening in the wild, lion, elephant, polar bear, sloth, whatever, and knowing, okay, those are the moments. It's seeing that. Then there's also being in the field, right? And shooting for processing. I've said that a couple of times on podcasts and on other pieces of content, is the cameras we have today are insane. They have incredible dynamic ranges. They can do everything, but they still aren't as good as your eyes. So what you see in the wild, you might have to shoot for your processing, knowing that this is what's possible in Lightroom. Therefore, I'm going to shoot safe in my Lightroom, knowing that I'm going to fix it afterwards and pull the darks and push the whites back and so on and so forth. It's basically, it is keeping your histogram safe, not losing the blacks, not losing the whites, and then making sure that you've got enough raw data when you take it into Lightroom to actually do something with it. So that's the second one. The first one is looking at a sighting and seeing moment. And the second part is shooting for your Lightroom. And then the third one, I've seen this so many times on safari. We'll go out in the morning, it's day 3 of a 7-day trip in the Mara, wherever it might be. And we start looking and people want to get stuff then that they want to post on Instagram. And then they're looking for images. So we'll be walking around the table, kind of helping here and there. And then what happens is there'll be this image that they're busy processing. You got sliders going and it's what do we do here and crop it and how can I make the whiskers sharper and so on. And then you kind of look at this image and you think, you know what, John, we'll use John, is don't you have one where you cropped a little bit less or where you kind of had the subject a little bit more this way? And then he says, yeah, look at this. And he goes from the develop module into the library module and there's a whole sequence of images. And John chose the wrong one. Now, often often, I think a weakness in some of photographers today is their ability to see the correct image in a sequence. Guilty as charged, there it is. See the correct image in a sequence and choose the correct one to process and share. It's a huge deal, especially with the frame rates we're shooting at today. It's happened in the field, and the frame rate, where we'll get to a sighting and our local guide will say, hey guys, there's a lion sleeping under a tree. We'll drive and pull up, and as the vehicle stops, someone in the back goes, grrr, and you think, Christ alive, what's happening? And you look back, and this person is firing on the sleeping lion, and you say, whoa, what are you photographing? None of the lion. Yes, you've just created 47 images of a sleeping lion. Sequences happens all the time. A sequence like that, you might as well toss, because they're all going to be the same. Yeah. But anything moving, and we're going to look at that particularly tonight, anything that's moving, walking subjects, which one to choose? Yeah, it's a disaster. Which one to choose? Why? What do you look for? Do you look for body position, the legs, if the foot is bent here or there? So those three things for me is seeing images in the field, right, before they happen, knowing that this is the behavior. Number two is seeing a particular scene and seeing that I should be shooting for my processing here. I should be shooting for Lightroom, for Photoshop, knowing that I cannot capture the bright and the darks in one frame and have it look like what I'm seeing. So you shoot for your processing. And then number three is in Lightroom, when you have these sequences, and a sequence can be anything from 2 to 200. No shit, that's what it could be. If you're photographing birds flying, we were up at Sabi recently, and quite a bit of time was spent on birds because it was uncharacteristically quiet in the Sabi Sands. So bee-eaters, hornbills and such, you fill up frame after frame after frame. And the ability to use the tools at your disposal, but to see which ones to edit, that's vital. So before I take you into Lightroom, quick one in the chat function for me. How many of you guys are actively using survey mode in Lightroom? That's when you put in as a shortcut, you put them next to each other and you pick. Survey mode, it's important. Grace, very important. Okay, sometimes, rarely, yes. Okay, so there's quite a few yeses. So that's the first thing, right? Me, sometimes, okay, cool, really. That is the how. I'm going to show you how to use survey mode because it is ridiculously powerful for things like wildlife and for sport, any fast moving stuff where you're shooting frame after frame. And then we're going to look at the why. Why did I choose this one over that one? And sometimes it's the smallest little detail. If you look at an image and you don't see it correctly, the smallest little detail can make an image from good to better, or from good to great, or from great to holy hell. There's small little details. So we're going to do, I've chosen 3 sequences that I've shot now a week ago in Sabi Sands. And then I've got the ones that you guys sent in. And what we're going to do is on the ones that I've chosen for you, right? We're going to look at the entire sequence. I'll show you slowly first how survey mode works as a bit of a refresher. And then we're going to speed the process up. And I'll show you how I go through a sequence of very similar images, choosing out of a sequence of 25, for example, 3, right? You don't always have to end with just one. You don't always have to end with just one. In a sequence, there might be 3 or 4 images that are actually usable. And I would highly recommend that you don't just try and choose one. Yes, there will be the hero shot out of the sequence, but there will also be the second, third, and fourth ones, which are still bloody good. They could be used on your portfolio website. You could file them. You can post them on Instagram later down the line, whatever. But so we're going to look at the survey mode first quickly, talk through how it works, and then we're going to look at each of my 3 sequences. It's all unprocessed, haven't touched it yet, and kind of help me decide. And I'll show you how we decide pretty quickly which is the hero shots. I'll talk out loud, and then we're going to go to your images. So as always, if you have any questions during, please pop it in the Q&A. I'll jump over there, but I am going to keep the chat function as always open if you have comments to add or any questions on the fly. Ready, into Lightroom, here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And please, as always, just give me a thumbs up that you can see my Lightroom. Just a quick one. Happiness. Thank you. And Doris, awesome stuff. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are into Lightroom now. And what you've got on screen, so I have selected my 3 sequences, the lion walking, this leopard at sunset, which was pretty golden, and then there's all of your images that you sent through. Now, just a quick refresher. Tomorrow, I'm doing the advanced monochrome workflow, Lightroom, Nik, and Photoshop version 2.0. So we're going to go even deeper still. There, I'm going to look more at the actual user interface in Lightroom. But what I'm looking at here, just so you guys know, I've added all of these into a collection, Lightroom webinar, yes. And I have then color-coded them initially just by adding color labels to each sequence. And then I stacked them. If you don't know what stacking is, you can select a sequence, like let's choose this one, for example. There's 8 images. If I click on that, it'll show me the 8 in that stack. Click there, it closes it up. So it's just quite handy for when you're working with sequences that you want to work through and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start with a pretty easy one, which is this one. See if I can move it over there. Sorry, undo that. I don't want that in the front over there. And then we'll do the leopard. This is the cool thing, just by the way, what I'm doing now is inside a collection, you can move images around so they show up in a certain order. You cannot do that at folder level. You have to be in a collection. Okay, so I'm going to start with this line sequence. And we're going to go from there. So I'm just going to put this chat down at the bottom. Click on there. So this here is a sequence of a male lion walking at sunrise, backlit. Okay, so the first thing I would do is, this is still raw. This is as it came in, nothing done to it. This is as is. My goal is to choose at least one out of a sequence, but I need to see the correct image. I need to see the correct image. Now, survey mode, which is a remarkably powerful tool. Select the first image, hold shift, select the last image, right? And then you push N on the keyboard. Think of it as next to each other. There we are. So now I've got that sequence of images highlighted on my screen. Couple of things to take note of here is if I select the first one, right, and I arrow through, if I double click on one, right, and I now keep arrowing through, it will only keep cycling through the selection that I have chosen. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can approach this. If you hit N again, then it takes me back to this here. Now, the idea with this type of kind of seeing of images, there's a few ways you can do this, but let me just show you what the tool does first, just so we're all on the same page, is we're going to work in a deductive fashion. So I'm going to look for bad, and I'm going to get rid of bad. So bad might not be, ooh, this is chopped off or out of focus. Bad might be not as good as the next one. So the idea here is to end with 1, maybe 2 hero shots. So I'm going to quickly double click on the first one. So we've got 6, 8 images here. Click on the first one. And I'm just going to arrow through each of these. Hi, thank you for joining us. So I'm just going to arrow slowly through and get a look and feel for what we're dealing with. Obviously, that's bad. It's out of focus, out of focus, out of focus. That's going to be easy. And there's our boy walking, walking, walking. Okay, so I literally just arrow through them for the first time to see what I'm dealing with. Now, the initial one is pretty easy, right? They're out of focus and horrible. So that was this one, and that one. The rest are in. So how the tool works is when you arrow over, it gets this little X at the bottom corner. Now, when I hit the X, it takes the image out of this selection, not out of my collection or folder or anything else. It just removes it from this collection. So watch what happens. I click on that one because that's out of focus. This one was out of focus. And oh goodness, is it this one? Yes, that one was out of focus. So click there. So now I'm down to 5 images. And now I know my crap is gone. I can now start working. And now I'm going to look. Now we have to start seeing wildlife images. So I've seen people do this and it doesn't work, right? You open the image and now it's like, okay, basically just take your hands off the keyboard and they stare at it. And they just stare at it, right? Then they go to the next one and they stare at it. The longer you look at it, ain't going to make it any better. Let's just agree on that. So at this stage, you're not going to be staring at it. Grace, guilty as charged. But literally, I've had people, and for those of you that's been to Amara camp, you would have seen this. 10K brings a gin and tonic, and people load it, and then they get their gin and tonic, fish food, right, to gin and tonic, and they'll sit back and they just stare at the screen. It's like suddenly, miraculously, it's going to be better. It doesn't work that way. So at this stage of the game, right, at this stage of the game, what I would recommend, so now you've got the 5 images, is you open this thing to a full frame, these 5 images, and you're going to click through pretty quick, and you're going to go click, click, click. And now you stare at the screen because now it's moving. Eventually, you will find that for some or other reason, your eyes sees something in an image that you like. Staring at it, bad. Rotating through it, staring, good. So if we go here, now I'm going to arrow through, and I'm just going to do this a couple of times. So, okay, so this is literally how I would do it. And you should already start seeing for yourself. To me, there's 2 that pop so far. Just go through and keep going. All right. So now, did you see 1 or 2 that pops out at you? It's got to do with body position. It's got to do with legs. Now, the process of doing this in your Lightroom, and when we go through all of these sequences and your own images, the more you do this, and the more you do your homework on the destinations you are going to, the easier you're going to find when you're sitting behind your camera and a lion is walking, especially coming towards you. You'll know what to look for. I've had number 2 and 5. Linda, I think you're spot on, hey? Yeah, well played. So, and we'll get to that, is I've had people who go to the Great Bear Rainforest with me, and they've never photographed spirit bears or black bears, and they move in a very different way to polar bears, for example. You send videos, we send images, so that you can get used to watching a species move, because if you know how it moves, you will see it better. Elephants, as an example, I don't have any elephants tonight, but do we know why an elephant's head bobs up and down? You need to know this if you want to get the correct image, because an elephant cannot sustain its body weight with muscle. It has to lock bone on bone. So it lifts the head to lock the bone, then it steps. Back leg is the same. That's why when they go fast, it looks like they're awkward because the head bobs up and down. Now, you knowing this will help you see the images better. The more you know, the better it gets. So let's go back in here. I'm just going to cycle. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Right, let's talk through them. So if I look at this level, right, the first one I don't like is number 4, but let me tell you why. I'm looking at the back leg. See how these crisscross over? Now remember, your brain sees in 3 dimensions. When you're looking at an image or a camera sees 2, it flattens it. So your brain could figure out, yes, there's 2 legs, but in this instance, this one, not good enough. Okay, so I remove that. I'm now left with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So easy one. I can say number 1, pretty decent. I'm going to go 4 to number 2. Which one do we prefer? Let me work with you guys here. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 1, that's 2. Which one do we like? 1 or 2? So for me, number 2, exactly. Number 2 wins. But why? Often, if you start doing this more and more and more, you might not even break it down in your mind to it's the leg, it's the foot, it's the tail. You just know it works because you're seeing images better. So if we look at this then, right? So that's number 1. There's a lot of merger happening here. The foot kind of disappears. Where number 2, it's way crisper. We like number 2. So number 1 is gonna go, right? So now we have 1, 2, and 3. Immediately my eye is drawn to this one, number 3, because of this foot. The head position, the front foot bent, everything here works. In a perfect world, what I would immediately like to have seen more of is the disconnect between the tail. But we're not shooting models. We can't tell them what to do, right? So number 1, number 2, number 3. Now, if we just look at number 1 and 2, 1, the foot's up slightly. Number 2, it's down. Number 1 looks more dynamic, and we need to understand how people will read your image. It'll help you to see your images better. With the foot up, there's that implied motion of he's going to step on it now. Whereas number 2, he's flat already. It's the energy, the visual energy almost drops a little bit. So I would, out of these 3, well, these 2, the foot down is kind of a dull image. I would lose that. Now, at this stage, me personally, I would stop here and I would save both of these. So I'd process both and put them onto my website, right? However, if we had to choose one, let's do a quick poll here. Number 1 on the left, number 2 on the right. Which one do we go for? What do you guys prefer? Number 2 wins. I've got a number 2. Going. Everybody's choosing 2. I've got a 1. Yeah, Charlotte, got it. Got a 1, couple of 1s, number 2. Overall, it looks like number 2 is the winner. 1 for the light on the leg. Let me see that. Okay, makes a very good point here. Okay, it's probably about 40% 1, 60% 2. Let's break it down a little bit. The light on the leg, the rim lighting here, all around is gorgeous, right? Number 2, this one seems to be more dynamic. It's that head down, the posture, and the moving leg. Anytime you're photographing cats, behavior-wise, that round paw coming forward or sideways, golden, right? So again, what we're doing here is I would save both, but you need to see the difference. Guys, if you can see the difference here and the energy that it tells, it's a different story. It's a different story. Okay, once you've then gotten to this point, then I go back to grid, and the 2 that I have selected are still highlighted. At this point, because I would normally be working in a folder, I would add them both into the collection, and they're the ones I'm going to process. Any questions thus far? Any questions thus far? Let me quickly come back to you guys over here. So the process is actually pretty simple. It's you comparing like for like. If you have a sequence, and I think this next line one we're going to do is like this, is if you're looking at a sequence, right? If we're looking at a sequence that, and the line's moving, he's looking this way, and you go click, 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 and he's turning, then he yawns, and he keeps going. In a sequence of 15, you might choose 3 heroes, but there might be 4 you compare to each other, then 5 to each other, and then 3. That doesn't add up to 15, but you know what I mean, right? So inside a sequence, there could be multiple winners. You and I are normally not in the position where we have to submit images for a Nat Geo cover, unless some of you are hiding secrets, right? End with 3 out of a sequence, it's fine. Eventually you can post them all, you can use them all. So let's look at that example. I'm taking you back to Lightroom, and we are going to look, sorry guys, just again, please confirm you can see Lightroom. Sometimes it's funny. Yes, you can, thank you. Okay, now we'll get to this leopard one last, because it's a pretty simple one, we'll fly through that one. I wanna look at this one now, right? This line, so I'm gonna open that, and just make it a bit smaller. So now what you can see already is if I scroll through here, the green ones, you can already see now, there's going to be, I can see 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 images that can work out of this. Okay, that's just looking at it very quickly. So I select the first one. I go down and I select the last one. I hit N on the keyboard. And now I'm faced with my survey mode, which, guys, if you're not using it, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to compare like for like. You need to see the difference. You can see that this one here is different to this one here, is different to what else? To this one here, right? So this one, and that one could be hero shot. These ones are all very similar, right? There's one that stands out for me automatically. There's one that already stands out of this bottom sequence. But what you do is you visually isolate the ones that work together, and you compare like for like until you're faced with different images in a grouping. This is how it would work. So I would look at these 3 here at the top. They're pretty similar. These 2 very similar. Obviously, I would choose this one, even at this thumbnail level. So I can see the eyes are closed and the tongue's half out. Lose it. Okay, that stays. Now, this one is a bit in isolation. There's nothing that's similar. Make sense? There's nothing similar. So I would keep this because it has the potential, and we'll look at processing in a bit, of being a pretty solid monochrome image. Moody, soft. It's not an aggressive line. It's just like a nice line, right? So we'll keep that. Now I'm going to compare 1, 2, what do we got here? 3, and 4. Those are all very similar. So let's go big screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now, personally, what I would do at this stage, those 3, nothing. Eyes half closed. Lose. This one, lose. Next one, lose. There's something about the eyes closed for me, which keeps it as a different image. I would keep it for now. See, I'm doing section by section. So I'm working, so initial ones. So this one here and this one, these next 2. So go in, this and that. Okay, now, if something is this close, no, not that, those 2, what are you looking for? What do you need to see at this level between these 2? It is so close, right? I would, in this instance, if it's such a close thing and there's not much to choose from, I would choose the one with more space around the subject. So you see, this one's lower, that one's a bit higher up. Just it's marginal, but it's still there. I would choose that because it's going to give me more ability to finesse it a little bit later on from a cropping point of view. So the second one for me wins. I'm going to lose that one. Okay, now we start getting to a sequence here, which is very similar all the way through. From here, all the way through to the bottom one. Now, there's one that stands out for me dramatically. Let's see if we choose the same one. Click on this, and now I'm going to do click, click, click through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're back to the front. Okay, so the thing that wins, and I think there's 2. You should have, at least I choose 7. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The eyes go bigger and bigger and bigger. Watch it again. It's those little things you need to start seeing. Okay, that one is not. So for me, this is, and I mean this in the best, this is average. It's a nice line image, but we don't want nice line images. We want amazing line images. So if we keep going, there's a bit of a turn between those 2. I would lose the second one, right? Then we keep going. Now there's direct contact. So the energy here comes up immediately. 1, look at the eyes. 2, 3, a little bigger, bigger, bigger. Hello. And then it's like, this is like Scar from The Lion King, right? So again, it depends on what you're looking for here. But in my mind, and I think most of you called it, this one with the big eyes win. So out of these first 2, the second one was a bit down. The sequence here, up until the one where the eyes are wide open, right? Lose, lose, lose. Oh, goodness. This one can go, lose. And then we've got these bottom 2. So let's just think if we want to keep any of these. So this one, again, it's nice, but not as powerful as the other one. This one, if you want to be more of a comedic, funny wildlife thing, you could put a cool caption with it. But otherwise, nah, nothing much. So I would then personally go and I would lose the bottom 2 as well. And just like that, we now have 6 images which are all slightly different. Shazman says the grass adds so much character as well. Absolutely. I mean, we can have a whole discussion about the ethics of taking the grass away, but to me, it's something there. It's natural. It was there. Let's leave it. So out of this now, personally, I would stop here. I would go back to grid, right, in here. And then the ones that are marked are the ones that left over, and I would take them into my collection. So all of the ones that's left, I would use. Now, quickly, I would like to hear your thoughts on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you had to choose one, which one would it be? Number 1, tongue. 2, look. 3, sleepy. 4, curious. 5, half curious. And then 6 is the big eye one. Okay. Normally, most people will probably be here somewhere, right, between these 2. There's an argument to be made. Number 16. The other one. No, number 1 and 6 maybe. So there's an argument for me. Number 1 for the tongue. This is very cool, right? I like number 1. Let's look at them full. So seeing wildlife images. 1, 2. There's something sinister here, which I'm thinking monochrome, very dark, lift the eyes a little bit. So this one for me would be for processing. This, pretty cool as is. It's like, I'm going to eat you, right? This one has good potential for a deep, dark monochrome. This could be something cute. Probably won't post it initially, but I'll keep it as a part of my online library. This one, Curiosity, the nose up. I don't think it's the strongest image of the bunch, but it's pretty decent. This is kind of a chill line vibe, right? If I had to look at relaxed line behavior, this is it. The one thing here between those two, right? This lion is very alert. Now, there's a thing that sometimes they can be too alert because you've come too close or people made a noise, whatever. In this instant, there was another animal behind us, another lion, right? So this one was kind of moving and he checked up there when it moved past. But if we're looking for a hero shot, more than likely, this one, and if we're talking Instagram, which is not really the measure, but this one would probably get you the most like, because people like to see these visual in your face things. Okay, so out of this sequence, you can create a lot of different images, but it comes from seeing the differences between sequences. It is vital. Now, again, the more you do this, the easier it's going to get for you in the field. When you look at an animal, you're going to be more aware and you're going to see those subtle differences of the head and the movement. I've said to people often, and this counts for big cats and specifically for the big apes, gorillas, chimpanzees, baboons, go and do an online, there's like a free portrait photography course. There's free stuff on YouTube. I can send it to you. Email me. But by understanding how we read the human face, angry, scared, nervous, whatever, this translates. And you will start seeing different things with animals. I promise you this. It is amazing. So that would be the lion sequence. I would keep them all. For me personally, I would probably end up with number 1 as an interesting one, number 3 as a deep monochrome, and number 6 as kind of a hero in your face striking image. Okay, let us go back to here now. Let us stack this again, and let's have a quick look before we get to your guys' images to this leopard sequence. Okay, so this again, let's do that. Okay, 1 through 8. There they are. So this is, let me scroll through them one time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have any favorites, let me know. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's see. I've got 1s, 6s, I've got 3s. Let me see, which was, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so now let's look at this. The last one is different because we turned the spotlight on. The rest was with ambient light. So this one to me pops a little bit. To me, it looks fake. Not a huge fan of spotlight stuff. I love ambient. I believe it can be blended easier and made more natural. So I'm going to lose this. Between, and now we're seeing, you need to see the differences and the emotion that it evokes. So this cat, number 3, if you look at the behavior, look at the face, 1, 2. Okay, let's start here. 1 and 2, which one would you choose and why? So 1 is the one in the center, 2's off to the side. Personally, love the one off to the side because there's more negative space and for her to look into, right? 1, 2, very, very similar because energy, 100%. Charlotte, you can stay. 2 because of energy, quite right. So for me, because these are very close together, and you can see the ears are the same. The moment you look at this, you should see that number 3 here, the ears are changing. So I'm going to lose this one. Okay, number 2 is sad. It does look a bit, right? 2, look at those now. Can you see the dramatic difference in the image and what it tells the reader of your image? 1 or 2? Okay, so now this is 1. This is now 1. This is now 2. Which one do you prefer? 1 ears forward, 2 kind of ears half back. Yeah. So I've got 1s, I've got 2s, I've got 1s. 2's more alert. Yeah. I've got, oh God, it's 50-50. Okay. Most people seem to be going with 1, maybe 2. It's close. Okay. For argument's sake, let's keep both. This is how you build a portfolio. Okay. So 1 and 2. Let's look at this now. 3, 4. Okay. Literally nothing to choose between those 2. Okay. Nothing to choose between those 2. So I would choose the one that's more center, which was this. So let's get rid of that one. So 1, 2, 3, let's see. Okay, now it gets interesting. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Between 3 and 4, I would say 4 because of the eyes. Yes, you need to see this. The eyes here is a bit dull, looking down, kind of half asleep. That one looks more like she's tilted the head up. Okay, so this one where the ears are down, we choose not to use. And I'm looking now at those two, super subtle difference. What you also need to keep in mind is background. Sometimes the smallest thing, but you need to see the entire frame. So between those two for me, which one of these two? So let's go again from the beginning. We go, zoom out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me 3 and 4. This is 3, that's 4. 3, I've got a 1 from Maggie, yes. 2, 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is very close. I'll probably choose, I'll probably choose the last one. Is it 3 or 4? I think it's 4. Right, so I've got 1 and 4. Of this sequence, I would probably keep 1 and 2 and one of these two. It's much of a muchness here. So I would probably I would lose the last one. Maybe the third one, let's just see. No, I would lose this one. So I would then say there. Okay, so now you're looking at and you're seeing 3 very different images. If you're going to process them, do this as, for example, as a crop 4x5. Do this one as a landscape and do this one as a square. And immediately out of one sequence, you've created 3 different images. But they have to be different to start with. And you have to be able to see the difference. One of the future webinars I'm working on, but I'll tell you about this at the end, is kind of looking at emotion in images and how to convey emotion using color, intensity, negative space, those kind of things. And this is starting in that direction. Okay, so you guys know how survey mode now works. It's very easy. There's my 3 images. I would put those across and then we quickly come back to you guys over here. Right, so any questions at this stage? What we're going to do now, we quickly check the Q&A here. Dix is number 3, yeah, 100%. Is I'm going to go to the images you guys sent me. Now, I have not looked at them. I've downloaded the emails. I've got the WeTransfers. I've stuck them all together in a collection here. I don't know whose is whose. What we're going to do, and guys, we're going to try and be constructive here. We're going to just quickly go through each one, and I'll give thoughts on what do we think. Is it great? What would have happened if the foot was a little bit more forward, or if the animal looked a little bit more to the side? So as we work through these, we're going to spend like 30 to 40 seconds on each one, probably more, right? It's not scary, Alyssa, it's fine. So just to kind of see, and when you then look at your own image, when you go back and you start seeing your own images, you'll know that, damn it, I should have chosen the next frame, or I should have shot the next frame. And that's going to make a big difference. It really, really will. So here we go. Let's have a look at the images you guys sent in. I'm going to go, sorry guys, one more time. Please just confirm you can see my Lightroom. Just to confirm tech is playing along with us. Yes, indeed. Okay, here we go. Let's see what you guys sent us. I'm just going to go. I'm not going to compare these. Obviously, it's not a competition, but let's go here. All right, first up, let's see what we have. So we're not going to go disclaimer. I know some are, yes. Some are unedited. It could be JPEG or RAW. We're going to talk more about just the positioning of the animal and seeing the behavior, right? So in this instance, if you look at the shot, let me give you an idea of what we're looking at. Beautiful shot here. The image is awesome. This diagonal line coming through the image is awesome. The cat's head is clear. There's nothing close to it which draws attention away from it. In a perfect world, yeah, that is a great shot. This branch here in front wouldn't have been there. But guys, we cannot think like this. I've got people, oh no, but you can edit this out. No, don't edit it out. It's nature. This is what it was. So in this instance, what you need to think for yourself when you start seeing images is, what could the subject have done just before or just after this that could have made it better? I'm guessing this thing had its head flat and he looked up at you. So this is kind of that lazy cat looking at you vibe. Not a hell of a lot I would have chosen differently on this. Even if we saw the before and after, I think that is pretty spot on. Let's see. Next one here. Okay. So what we have, this looks, it looks like Wangi. I'm not sure where this is. Zimbabwe somewhere. Anyway, so you've got the zebras coming in framing on the side, giraffe drinking. So if this was a sequence, right? If this was a sequence, the cool thing here would have been giraffe are very predictable. They always drink maybe 3 or 4 times, and then they whip that S up. So if you couldn't move from this spot, right, the only thing I would have tried differently is to see if there's an image in the sequence where there's more of a disconnect between the subjects at the top of the giraffe here. The zebbies coming in is great. Nice little supporting actors to the scene. But from a positioning point of view, if this giraffe drank more than once, was there maybe a scene or one of the shots that you took where you can see all 4 legs? So if you look at the legs here, let me just take you in a bit. So if you look at the legs, giraffe always have that wide open stance. So there's that and there's there. Was there a frame before or after or one of the next drinks that you can see all 4 legs? That's one of the few things on the subject that would have made a difference here. But from a scene point of view, this is beautiful. I would have maybe cropped just a little bit more at the bottom. It looks pretty tight, but we're focusing on the subject and seeing the wildlife. So the first thing I would like to see is if there was a frame before or after that had all 4 legs. But beautiful scene. It makes me miss the bush quite a bit, actually. Okay, what do we got here? Pull back a bit. All right, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so when you have multiple subjects, it becomes very interesting because now you've got multiple energies going through the frame, right? So it seems like there was something off to the left. This one seems irritated, or he was shaking his head. There's not much in action sequences that you can really choose from. So for me, I'm not sure if this is cropped, right? I don't know if this is cropped, but a little bit more space here would have been nice. Not the end of the world. There's not much here, I think, that would have made a difference. Normally, I would look for subject separation, but this is not that case because the small herd is the subject. It's not 4 elephants, it's 1 herd. So think about it like that. But I think the energy and the dynamic nature in here works because the most important thing on this image is the trunk. So free trunk, there we go. Shazman saw it. All the trunks doing the same. Trunk and trunk. So you've got all of these beautiful, almost mini S curves from the trunks, right? And that kind of works. So for me, there's not much. If anything, and I'm being picky, see this tail coming out here? It would have been nice to have a switch, but then it would have been off. But for me, the trunks being separated and doing, I should have, you can draw like an S curve through all of them, which is pretty cool. Right, nice shot. Again, we're going to miss the bush badly after this. All right. Okay, that's quite powerful. In your face. Okay, so sequences from front to back. Normally, when an animal's walking towards you, you would be going grrr, click, click, click. So I'm not sure whose image is it. Like I said, guys, I haven't looked at these yet. This is fresh. So, and specifically for this reason, the only thing I would have looked for here, the front foot on this animal is coming forward nicely. I can see that. The one thing that's a tad distracting is the back foot. It doesn't give me a feeling of he's grounded. It's like this half in the air. So is there a sequence that follows this? There's 3 things to me that stands out. The foot area here, all 3 feet combined, right? The mouth and the tongue, because eye contact would have stayed. Is there anything there? And this tail. What did the tail do the shot before and the shot after? Did I get more of a C curve? Because any of the big cats, leopard, tiger, that big C curve of the tail. So if this is your shot, look for the image before and after. I don't know how many you shot, but maybe there's one that's just a little bit stronger because of the tongue being either more out, maybe there's more of a C curve here, and maybe the frame, let me think, just maybe 2 or 3 frames before this, when that foot is still coming forward and the back foot is planted. Small things. Nice shot though. Okay. Ooh, I remember this. I was in the sighting. So this was one of those. This is in Sabi Sabi about 2 years ago for a private guided trip. Long story short, this the group of lions killed a buffalo. The buffalo herd was there. They ran into the water. The lions fought in the water, and eventually this one ended up, I don't know what, the head or something. So this was insanely difficult shooting. But in this instance, the sequence here, and Joni, I know you're not watching, but you'll probably watch this on YouTube later. The sequence here was very difficult. So what we were looking for here is what is sharper. Because low light shooting, you have to shoot because the subject's moving, your shutter speeds are lower, you're looking for what's sharp. And in this instance, I remember the scene that would probably be the one. In a perfect world, I would have loved to see this leg. Maybe the next frame, Joni, might be open. But in this instance, it's a very difficult thing to shoot. So when you low light, look for sharpness, but this leg here could have made a bit of a difference. Let's see what's next. Well, hello. Okay. So this is what makes this. And if this is yours, what I would look for is, do you have a frame where this cat is moving? It looks to me like he was pulled down and he was pushing up, or he was was he fighting with someone? Was he looking at something? Was he scared of the vehicle? I don't know. But is there a shot where you can see both eyes through the grass? Because that would be insane. Obviously, from a cropping point of view, I might want to pull this in on the sides, maybe just a bit on the right. But is there a shot where sometimes it's the grass that's moving, other times it's the animal that can move up and down, sometimes it's a combination of both. But is there a shot, if you look before and after, that you can see both eyes? Because if you can see both eyes, and Shazman just said maybe go in tighter, absolutely. So if you can see both eyes, you can pull in quite a bit, and then it will be, oh goodness, not like that. You could pull in a bit, and if you had both eyes open and sharp, it could be really interesting. So check the image before and after. Eyes always important. Eyes always important. Oh, hello. Why do I think I was on this siding as well? This looks very familiar. Okay, so in this, with sequences like this, sorry, let me just fix this zoom level to fit. There we go. With sequences like this, the crop here could be slightly different. It's a lot of space on both sides of her. This was a her, I think. But the difference, though, is this branches forms a beautiful frame around the cat. She was looking at another leopard on the other side. This was an insane sighting. I do remember this. But with something like this, look at the scenes before and after, because any cat that's angry or stressed would tend to go up. They might come a bit forward and then back again. So in your sequence, look at which of those looks more comfortable. This one, I think is Joni's shot as well, if I'm not mistaken. This was one of the better shots in the sequence because she was either kind of wanting to run away, but then she stepped. So sequence before and after here, if anything, did the tail pop ever? Did the tail pop ever? You can also see where she's wanting to go. You see where the ear's going, pointing down? Yeah, I think there was hyena. So she's a bit all over the place. Is there one where both ears are forward? Because then all the attention goes. Small little things that if you see will make a difference. Okay, that's pretty interesting shot. Damn. Okay, so first thing here, the crop. What we would do is I would crop pretty much here. Yeah, so I would go pretty tight on this. The reason for this is such a deep, powerful image, right? Especially in the world we live in now with poaching and stuff like this, is the space on the left is negative. I would chop it here, lose a bit at the bottom and at the top. So it becomes really intimate. Actually, let me quickly show you. So I would probably end up going way intimate, something in that line, right? So, oh goodness, where is it? So something like this becomes strong. I might even lose more on that side. But positioning wise, obviously the carcass ain't going to change. That stays the same. This look over the shoulder is perfect. Perfect. There's not much difference. Okay, let me just quickly see if you guys here. See, it's the interesting thing. I'm going to take you back here quickly. Are you guys back with me on that? Can you see the new image? Okay, it's back. See, it's, yeah, gotta love technology. So the more intimate crop, because it's a super intimate scene, right? The look over the shoulder is perfect. The carcass ain't gonna change. This little guy, that over the shoulder look is what you're looking for. The only thing that I might say is look for another frame would be the tongue wants to come out. Imagine if in a frame before or after, the tongue's actually like licking. That would enhance the story quite dramatically, but super interesting sighting. I hope this thing didn't die for the reasons I'm hoping it didn't. But yeah, interesting shot. And that over the shoulder look golden. I would just look for the before or after and see if there's more tongue action. More tongue action on gorilla, and beautiful shot. Okay, so on something like this, it did. Ah, that sucks. Thanks, Louis. So something like this beautiful portrait. And again, this evokes a whole bunch of emotions. I love the crop here on the side. The light is spectacular. On something like this, I doubt that there's a frame before or after that's better. This is golden, right? Is things you would look for here is where are the eyes looking? Are they both looking down, up, down? Because often gorillas, they'll look through the thickets and they'll jump between family members. So you might have this pose that he's doing, but he might be looking there, down. So just look, this is perfect. All the energy is going on one side. The other thing I would look at, it is a beautiful shot, is the hand under the chin. It's a golden moment and really, really well shot. And I don't think there's much that you're going to see in a different frame before or after that's going to beat that. It's really great. Okay, well, that's not a shit sighting. Holy hell. Okay, so the first thing we would do here, not many people see stuff like this. Let's just be honest. So let's quickly crop this because we can strengthen this up quite a bit. A 4x5 up would keep mom in the frame. Obviously, mom has to be in the frame. Something like that. Can you guys still see that frame? So I've just cropped it in a bit. Yes. So in here, what could be different? If mom obviously in the back, this is golden, this is a really cool shot, is the only thing I would look for here is the frame before, probably before, not after, is can we have a shot where this little guy's foot is not behind the other one? And it's like, up, I'm about to smack you, not I missed you. So if this is yours, first of all, well done and lucky you, but is there a shot or a frame before where the foot's coming down? Just that slight disconnect. And guys, that could take an amazing scene and sighting and make it even better. But that is a solid wildlife shot. It's really, really good. Okay, what have we got here? Monopools by the look of it. Okay, so again, sorry, Louis, was that your wife that took that previous one? That's insane. Okay, so monopools here, obviously. Okay, so from a positioning point of view, if we look at elephants walking, I love the front foot up, really good, right? You've got separation between all four legs. The problem with any animal from the side is you always get the crisscross of the leg. So there's the blend, open, blend, open. Love the separation. If anything, is the frame just before where you might get more ankle bend and maybe the tail separated. Small thing, could make it better, doesn't take away from a pretty solid image. Great. Monopools, missed that as well. Okay, beautiful portrait. The light is golden here. It looks like a bit of a vignette on there. Then what we got on something like this, right? The only thing from a side profile point of view is it would be that slow head up and slow head down. Is there a shot of this, maybe before or after, I don't know if he's going up or down, where you got that nose in the air? When he's interesting, he would kind of lift the nose up. So I would maybe look at the shot before or after, but there's not a lot to choose there. Not a lot to choose. Nice portrait from the side. And Linda says no. This yours, Linda. So, but there's not much. I mean, a little bit up, a little bit down. But if he never went all the way up, not much to choose from. Nice shot. Okay. Also not a bad sighting. Okay. So again, like we had with those elephant trunks earlier on, first thing I would do is I would maybe look at a 16:9 crop and just lose some of the water. It'll tighten up the energy side to side. And then what you're going to do on images like this, because I'm sure you shot a whole bunch, whoever this is you're going to just check for eyes and not necessarily straight towards you. It could be that they're all looking in one direction. If all of these cats, for example, were looking where this one is going, you know there's something there, enhances the story. It makes the viewer ask a question. So the frame before and after this, my goodness, it's tough, right? Wish I had sent in some pictures. I missed that. Guys, we'll do this again. Jasmine, don't worry. We will do this again. If this is yours, go through it and just check and look which of them has as many eyes looking in one direction. Because think about this. This one's coming here. This one's maybe looking in the same thing. This one couldn't give a shit. He's looking at the rock. This one looks like he's on holiday. He's phasing off to the side and mom's just drinking. So find the image before or after. Yeah, Tracy, very cool. And look for the one where most lions are looking at one thing. It just enhances the story that little bit. Proper sighting though, really cool. Okay, wow, that's really cool. Okay, so on something like this, obviously we're not going to go too deep into the cropping side of it. This I could get rid of on the side. There's a couple of interesting crops on this you could do. The one thing that almost jumps at me would be to come in, just as an option, there's many actually, is you could do something like this, right? Which tells a very different story, just as an idea. But let's look at the uncropped version. And on something like this, I mean, mom's ear up that way is nice, right? I would have maybe preferred, check the image before and after. Is there one where the ear is flat against the body? Because then you would have more of a spread between the ears, which would be great. It's very difficult because there's two things. There's mom's ears and baby's trunk. Love mom's trunk curled up. Love that ear out. This one, if you have a frame before or after, depending, see what this ear is doing. And then this little chappy here, trunk everywhere. Okay, that's cool. Tracy, nice shot as well. So yeah, just check if there's one with the ear open, because then you've got this beautiful symmetry happening with mom's face. And then the little guy's trunk here, is there one where it's maybe, sometimes you get it's like up and like a little S curve to the side. But that's me wishing. If you're going to be doing the whole frame, maybe the tail could have been more out, but check on that. Decide though, there's three variables. There's the ears, there's the trunk, there's the tail. What's most important? Most important is baby. Most visual, mom's ears. So if you have to choose between them, those are your decisions. But for me, the biggest thing on this, I would be happy to keep baby as is. I would be happy to keep tail as is. But this ear, if you have one where the ear is open, I think pretty strong, hey? I think pretty strong. Okay, that's quite dramatic. That's pretty nice. Okay, so what do we have here? Now, Alyssa, I think you sent me the raw file as well. This is an instance, if I remember from your raw file, that you shot for processing, because the raw was nice, the monochrome just kicks ass. It's much better. So in something like this, because you have this cat looking off dramatically to that side, right? And this one there, two subjects are always going to be difficult, because you know the rule of thirds, right? So with two, unless there's interaction where they're looking at each other or they're going to jump on each other or mate with each other or whatever, it's always going to be tough because they almost separate the frame. But you can only shoot what you see. You can only shoot what you see. And I think in this instance, you did pretty well to emphasize the sky. And from the raw file to what you did here, that's golden. So in a perfect world, and you can't choose this, maybe you have that frame where this cat on the right is also looking in that direction, because then it starts making sense because everything goes here. So if there's a frame maybe before and after, I can't see the sky changing dramatically. But if this cat ever, no, unfortunately, damn it, stupid lion, because if this cat was looking to the left, you would have the repetition at least of going to the side. But I mean, overall, super dramatic image, wouldn't change it. And I think it's a good call to have gone monochrome on it. But often when cats, this thing could be fast asleep. So then you can't get many different images to see differently. But yeah, nice shot. Okay, the clouds were gone next second. Ah, so strong winds. Let me just see there. So the clouds here were gone the next second. It could be blown by that. Then you did well. Then good call. Alyssa, thanks for letting me know. Then if you know the sequence and the clouds was the dramatic thing, then absolutely, then you chose the right one, 100%. Alyssa, yours as well. That's power. There's not much you can do different on this looking before and after, because in this, if the thing looks towards you, you can't see where it is. That sideways look gives you the beak and everything in there. Wouldn't change a thing. Love the energy going off to the side. In a perfect world, I don't know if you have any shots like this where the bird is center of the halo. It would be beautiful, but nothing wrong. The sequence here probably would have involved him moving his head, but I would have definitely chosen that one as well. It's a solid shot. Ooh, hello. Bison. Okay, so with something like this, I mean, you're shooting in the snow. This is still, so for me, there is, I need to still get to Norway and go to photograph musk ox in the snow. I'm going to do it on my own. Anybody can come with, but we need to go do this, photograph these things in the snow. It's amazing. So on something like this, where there's not a lot to choose, it's a straight up profile from the side. The only thing I would look for here in the sequences is this eye. The snow wouldn't have changed much, but the eye open, because blinking, often you get this beautiful portrait, everything in the right place, but then the eye's like half. So if this was yours and the sequence involved this animal just from the side, I would look at something like this. I'm just seeing something here. See this snowflake here, this white dot. If you're shooting in snow and rain, just keep in mind that it could be a piece of snow or a raindrop that's over the eye or over the tongue or whatever. So just keep in mind as well, you're not always only looking for the subject, you're looking at things that plays around the subject. So, but yeah, I love this. I've got a thing about musk ox. I haven't done it yet. I will be doing it as soon as I can travel again. Watch this space. So anyway, love the eye on that. Beautiful shot. Oh, hello. I remember this guy. This is from last year's Svalbard. Feels like years ago. So what would you change here? Sequences. So this animal was pretty static, if I recall. This is Brendan. This must be yours. And there's not a lot to choose from. Love the composition here with this mountain leading us in. This guy, big boy, you can check his fat on the sides, but he didn't move a hell of a lot. So the only thing you would check for here is the moment an animal starts looking side to side. He's kind of looking just off camera right. So he's not looking straight at us, he's just looking past us, right? If he turned his head full to the right, you would have moved him to the other side. You would have moved him to the other side. But there's not a lot I would choose from here. If anything, and with something detailed like this, I would look at the mouth. Polar bear, especially males, have that super hanging lip, like a big hang lip. And this one, often it looks like a big black tongue coming out. But I think this, Brendan, if anything, go and look at the tongue and the eyes are open. So it looks, can we zoom in here? Oh dear, sorry. Where do we go? Last one. So if I zoom into this, you see how the one eye is big open, the other one's small. They sometimes even squint when it's bright because the snow kicks up light from the bottom. So at distance, see if there's a frame before or after where the mouth looks better. Sometimes the mouth is more open, which gives you more of the teeth. You can see more of the canines. And the eyes sometimes are a bit bigger and smaller. But there's not a lot to choose from a slow subject like that. So, guys, if you sent images in, thank you. That was pretty damn awesome. How I wish we could start traveling again, hey? Oh my goodness, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So, let me open chat. I've got to quickly run through Q&A. Me too. Muskox is a must. Yeah, so I'm looking at Doverfell in Norway. I'm looking at a couple of options. It'll probably be an exploratory trip where we put it together. We go do exploring together, but watch the space. It's going to happen. Definitely happening. Guys, okay, cool. So that is basically just, it's important for us to see things differently, right? To look at images and think, damn, I got this, but maybe there was one that was better, one previous. So I would urge you, go and look at some of your shots, your favorite shots. And even if it's your favorite shot and it's very good, go and look and see the frame before and after. Because often we choose the frame that we immediately, and maybe it's just at the moment you're busy looking up to get your drink, you missed the one, whatever. But look at the frame before and after. If you've chosen an image, look at the frame before and after, put them together and see the images, see the differences. That's vital. If you guys, again, we'll do this again sometime next week, the week after. We can do a similar type exercise, and maybe we just do an image crit, and we just do a whole bunch of stuff, and we talk through animal behavior, and then we can maybe go a little bit deeper, and then we can look at, for example, the composition, not editing so much. I'm doing advanced editing tomorrow night, monochrome, for those that are keen, but we can go deeper on this, and I think it's pretty cool, especially with a chat function. We can get more interactive, and I can even run polls and stuff, and we can see what has to change. But that was great. Thank you for sending your images. I had fun on that one. So just a quick little update. Tomorrow night, I am vision and composition. I love that. I might just call it that. Alyssa, great suggestion. So tomorrow night, I am doing the Ultimate Monochrome Workflow version 2.0. If you didn't do the first one, you don't need to. If you did the first one, hopefully there's some new stuff in here for you. We're going to scratch even deeper into all those programs. Then on when is it? On Thursday, Johan is running one where he's looking at your images reviewed. So it's pretty much what we did now, but it's just kind of overall, what do you think? This, that same kind of thing, but I'm going to be doing this again. I had fun with this one. Then next week, Wednesday, Andrew is running a detailed thing on your camera's autofocus and like details. If you want to understand autofocus, that's worth a look. And then towards the end of the week, I'm loading a whole bunch more. We probably, with the world kind of changing, and it's such a moving target, but we're going to look at doing 2, maybe 3 a week from now on. We're not going to schedule them as much as we did because everything's starting to move. So we're going to keep doing this. We will keep doing this 2-3 times a week. And there's quite a few exciting stuff. So tomorrow, make sure to check my Instagram. I'm taking some of the team and we're going to start doing we're going to start creating very different content. We're looking at 2, possibly even 3 new YouTube series, like a TV show. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned tomorrow. Those will come up in due course. But for now, guys, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for bringing your images to the game. We'll do this again. And it's been fun. If you have any questions, guys, you know where to get hold of me. Gerry@wildeye.co.za is the email. That's wildeye with a dash in between. And just Gerry van der Walt on Instagram and all the other platforms. Guys, this one was fun. We'll do it again. I'll see some of you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you online. Wherever in the world you are. Good morning, good evening, and good night. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.